Parents, let's talk. My name is Hannah Ornburn, and I'm the Drug Prevention Coordinator for the City of Norwich. Today, I'll be touching on some ways that you can talk about substances with your child and give you some tips and tricks for having this conversation. I want to start with some local data. The three most common substances being used by youth in Norwich are alcohol, e-cigarettes and tobacco products, and marijuana. Our youth survey found that 1 in 5 Norwich youth have used alcohol in their lifetime, 1 in 7 had used e-cigarettes, and 15% had used marijuana. It's easy to say, well, it's not my kid, but unfortunately, it's also common that it could be your kid, or it could be their friends, or it could be their acquaintance in class. So having this conversation with them sets the rules and expectations for them, but also informs them on how to talk about it with their friends. Let's start with some communication basics. It's incredibly important that you start with meeting your child where they're at. This means using appropriate language that they understand, not talking down to them or nagging or lecturing them, and practicing those active listening skills. This can mean making eye contact, verbally or physically affirming that you're listening by nodding, or doing other things that might show them that you're listening, and also putting aside any distractions. So putting aside your phone or the TV, just so that they know that you're listening to them and you're paying attention when they talk. It's also great to think about where to have this conversation. So the setting is important. You want to make sure that you're in a private, comfortable place where your child feels like they can really open up without being judged by other people. The initial conversation is, of course, so important. But we want to make sure that you're having this conversation often, especially as they grow up, because the things that you'll talk about will likely change, and the information they have will change. It's also great to use conversation builders if you feel it's necessary, but most parents are pretty comfortable talking to their kids, so I don't think you need that. The age group determines how severe this conversation is going to be. So starting with the elementary age group, it might seem too soon to talk about substances, but we'll really start with easy stuff. But the earlier you talk about it, the better, because kids in middle school are already using, so getting them before they start is the key. So it might seem too soon, but you can really start with talking about what they've heard about drugs and alcohol. So touch base with them after Red Ribbon Week, or with their teachers or their friends, and see what they're talking about. Check in to see what their knowledge level is, and really fill them in on the things that they might be wrong or right about. It's great to use the news. If the news is presenting or talking about something substance related, fill them in. Make sure they understand what the repercussions of substance use are and why it's being talked about in the news. It's great to also lead by example. So make sure that you're doing things that you would only like to see them do in the future. It's great to also talk about substance safety. So with kids, especially little ones, it's great to talk about what they should do around cleaning products, what they should and shouldn't eat, vitamins, minerals, prescription drugs, things of that nature. Just silly stuff, but it's always great to touch base and make sure that they understand that that stuff's not safe for them. With the middle school age group, it's great to use teachable moments. So if you see a TV character or something that they're watching talk about drugs and alcohol, or you see the characters drinking or doing drugs, touch base with them. See what they feel about what's on the TV screen, and talk a little bit about what their friends might be talking about, see if any of them are using, and get everything out in the open. Make sure that you know what to expect or what's already going on around them. It's also great at this point to set some rules and expectations. So talk about what you feel about drugs and alcohol, and make sure that they understand what you feel and how they should really handle these situations. Be open. Talk about your own use. It's great to fill them in and make sure that they understand that, yeah, it's okay. I'm an adult. I use this, this, and this, but I'm an adult and my brain is fully formed. So it's okay, but you're not there yet. So you just have to wait. With high school age groups, continue to follow up on these previous conversations. It might seem silly to regularly check in, but that's exactly what works best. So check in with them, see what their friends are doing, if they're using substances, and reaffirm your rules and expectations by maybe putting them in writing and talking about when they should use the car or when they should be home and what to do if they're put in uncomfortable situations. The key thing here is to make sure that they always know they can call you if they're put in an uncomfortable or unsafe situation. Make sure that they never drive under the influence. Better that they call you than not get home safe. Some basic home prevention strategies that you can utilize are just locking away any prescription drugs, alcohol, vitamins, cleaning supplies, anything that might be harmful to kids and teens. It's better to be safe than sorry, so just always make sure that these things are out of the way. It's especially important that you do this with edibles, vape products, prescription drugs, because you never know when someone might take something by accident, and edibles are extremely enticing to kids and teens, so making sure that those are out of the way is great. Like I mentioned, make sure that you're a role model. Just never use or drink and drive. Make sure that you drink in moderation, and don't provide substances to anyone under the age of 21. I'm sure you guys all knew these tips and tricks, but this is just a brief reminder to make sure you're having this conversation with your kids today. Thanks.